Burt Dow Deep-Water Man by Robert McCloskey. A tale of the sea in the classic tradition. Here's a seagull walking through some pink paint. This book was written in 1963, it looks like, so 54 years ago. Burt Dow is an old deep-water man. Retired, of course. But retired or not, he still keeps two boats. One is a dory, so old and leaky that it can no longer be launched. Burt has painted it red and placed it on a little patch of lawn in front of his house overlooking the bay. He's rigged it like one of the many ships he's sailed to all the corners of the seven seas. It's filled plumb to the gunnels with earth, and every summer Burt plants it with geraniums and Indian peas. The geraniums brighten up the deck, and the Indian peas climb the rigging and sway this away, that away, in a smoky sou'wester. And there's Burt with his watering can. And there's his boat. And 1, 2, 3, 4 chickens and a mess of chicks. And there's the rooster. The other boat is an old double-ender named Tidally Idly, with a make and break engine. The boat leaks too, except when it's pulled up on shore for caulking, patching, and painting, which is most of the time. She's a good boat, says Burt, patting her on the stern and giving her propeller an affectionate kick. She's got a few tender places in the planking, but you can see daylight through it nowhere. But you can't see daylight through it nowhere. The Tidally Idly is the pride and joy of Burt's life, and between odd jobs for natives and summer people, he keeps her painted and patched as best he can. Every time he does a paint job, he brings home the leftover paint and uses it on the Tidally Idly. That pink plank, he says, is the color of Jenny Poor's pantry, and the green one is the color of the floor and doors in Doc Walton's waiting room. And there's the tan patch and trim color on Captain Haskell's house. And there's the Tidally Idly. Some paint cans next to it. And there's Burt with his can of pink paint. Burt Dow has a sister named Lila, who keeps house for him, cooks the lobsters and fish he catches and the clams he digs. She feeds the cock, she feeds the hens, she tends the garden, she helps Burt keep down the weeds in the dory full of geraniums and Indian peas. Lila is a very impatient person. Most impatient being on land or sea, says Burt, as he hustles about doing this or that as not to keep her waiting. Mornings when the cock crows, cockity-doodly, Lila is already down in the kitchen rattling her stove lids, clinkety-clink, and shouting, "Hit the deck, Burt, time to eat!" And Burt, winking and blinking his eyelids, comes stumbling down the stairs to breakfast so as not to keep Lila waiting. There's Burt with his coffee and fried egg and bacon. Looks like there's a basket of muffins on the table. And there you can see impatient Lila next to the stove, and a hat sitting on a deer's head. It looks like there's a black cat peeking around the corner. Burt Dow has a giggling gull for a pet. Every morning she roosts on the roof of the shed where Burt keeps his fishing gear. The gull giggles, "Tee!" until Burt comes out and tosses her a pancake, or a popover, and sometimes a piece of cinnamon toast. It looks like this time he's throwing Giggling Gull a popover. And there he is going, "Tee-hee-hee." When Burt Dow puts out to sea in the Tidally Idly, everybody in the town knows it. They hear him pump out all the water that has leaked in overnight. Slish-ka-slosh, slish-ka-slosh. Then there is a pause while Burt checks the tenderest spot between the pink plank, the color of Jenny Poor's pantry, and the green plank, the color of the floor and doors in Doc Walton's waiting room. Then they hear him start the make and break engine, clackety-bang, clackety-bang, and they see him, firm hand on the tiller, Giggling Gull flying along behind, heading out of the cove and going clackety-bangety down to the bay. There they go, with little puffs coming out, dog watching, kid with a bike, guy smoking a pipe. Everybody's got their boots on. The baby very excited being held by his mom. One morning the cock crowed, cockity-doodly, and Lila rattled her stove lids, clinkety-clink, shouting, "Hit the deck, Bert! Time to eat!" And Bert came downstairs, winking and blinking his sleepy eyes, and ate his breakfast. He tossed the Giggle and Gull a pop over, tee-hee-hee, and went down to the cove to pump out the tidily-idly. Slish-ka-slosh, slish-ka-slosh. He gently felt the tender spot between the pink plank, the color of Ginny Poor's pantry, and the green plank, the color of the floor and doors in Doc Walton's waiting room. "Giggle and Gull," he said sadly, "'twon't be long before the tidily-idly gets planted with geraniums and Indian peas." Then he started the make and break, clackety-bang, clackety-bang, and a firm hand on the tiller, Giggle and Gull flying along behind, he headed out of the cove, going clackety-bangety down to the bay to fish for cod. Bert kept studying the color of the sky, the color of the water, and the direction of the wind. There's Giggle and Gull.